Hey everyone, happy 4th of July. I'm actually excited about this 4th of July, not just for the fireworks, but because we have a lunar eclipse. And I have a favorite viewing area for such events, and I just checked the weather report. I'm really excited about going to Vantage, Washington, about 100 miles east of where I live in Seattle, Washington. Really nice because Seattle is still in phase 1.5 of the COVID reopenings, and where I'm going in Yakima County or Kittitas County of Ellensburg and Vantage is in phase 3, and a lot of places have reopened. And I want to say that I used to be really afraid of going to restaurants because I had to do a lot of explaining for food allergies, preferences, and all that. So it was so much easier for me to cook myself. And but now that I've been away from going to restaurants for 3.5 months, it's hard to believe. I find it not so annoying anymore. I find that having to explain, and ask about food ingredients, yeah, it might be a little bit tedious, but it gives me a little bit of practice with my negotiating and my persuasion skills that really come in handy, especially now that I'm thinking about going back to the office. And earlier this month, when I was talking to some of my coworkers on the phone or on Zoom, I made a number of errors that made me realize, oh my god, I really need to brush up on my interactions with others. And last week when I went to Vantage to view Jupiter and Saturn and the moon, all three of them coming real close to one another, I went to a steakhouse in Ellensburg, and as you can imagine, the kitchen, they screw up the order. I didn't realize they put an onion ring on the steak, and I was like, because I asked about if they used any seasonings and all that. I cleared that all up, and then they put the onion ring on it, and I wasn't terribly disappointed. I just sighed out, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't think about this," and that was good. I really could practice, and I wasn't upset either because I might have had to wait another half an hour, but that extended my fasting for an extra half an hour. So I'm a very positive thinker now. I was going on an intermittent fast of 15, 16 hours, and having that extra 20, 30 minutes of fasting, I tried to think positively. So I was very happy about that. That's what I need. I just need to think positively when things are not going exactly as planned, and they're not necessarily bad things. Sometimes they're just a change in plans. It's how you view it, and that's good. I used to think this is a tedious event. Now I think it's a blessing. And I used to think that the other reason was obviously the cost, right? But then I thought about, I used to go to these conferences halfway around the world and spend $2,000, $3,000, sometimes more, in a space of 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm thinking, I never really brought home any friends from doing that, But when I go to a local restaurant that I get to go back to, or meet local people here in the Seattle area, I get a lot more mileage out of that in terms of making new connections. As much as I want to eventually meet, I talked about how I prefer dating girls from Taiwan. As much as I like that, I'm spending most of my time here in the Seattle area. And if I'm going to be making any career moves, it's going to or starting a business or finding clients, it's going to be from the Seattle area, and so that's good too. It's made me rethink about some of the things. When I do return to work, uh, uh, one of the big problems I sometimes run into is that our schedules are not always very predictable. And I used to be very upset that it would be hard for me to plan a trip to Taiwan because oftentimes I wouldn't know my schedule until a month before, and the flights get really expensive if you book them in such short order. But then I thought about it, in a month's time, I can still go to See, the other thing that I wanted to do that I never got around to was I love playing backgammon, just recreationally. I'm not very good at it, but I love to interact with people. Um, right now, all of our backgammon tournaments are being held online, which is nice because you don't have to spend so much time and money traveling, but you lose the social aspect of it. The shaking of the dice, the rolling, the moving, and just the everyday conversations, and just to get to practice that. I used to despise how much it would cost to go to one of these things. Not only the travel expenses, but people love to bet big money on that. I can't play in the beginner division anymore because they have certain rules that once you win a certain number of times, you're barred from playing in that division. And the intermediate division were just out of my price range. The entry fees are often $200 to $300. But you know what? It's worth it. When I screw up persuasion or a negotiation with a client or at my workplace, it costs me a lot more than $200 or $300. And COVID-19 has really taught me that there are some things that at some points in time where even if you had millions of dollars you couldn't buy, right? And I'm so glad I had this learning experience. But I don't think I'll be complaining about the cost of going to the backgammon tournaments, of going to my to local events. Or how tedious it is to explain my dietary situation. Those are privileges we get to do. Those are not tedious or costly. Thanks for watching.